I am trying to save some money on my next Disney World vacation, and I am failing.
Welcome to Always Planning Disney, where planning is half the fun. I'm Cheryl,
And I'm Melissa.
and on this channel, we talk through all of the details that go into making our vacations magical and hopefully a little less expensive.
Maybe. I guess I should open by saying nothing I say should ever be considered to be financial advice, just ever. One time I saw Hamilton, well, not one time, no. I once saw Hamilton 3 times in a calendar year. So don't come for me. Like, I have no budgeting advice to give anybody. And also, I have never planned a budget conscious Disney World trip. We don't spend wildly, but we typically have a budget we like to stay around, and we really like to stay on site. We don't limit our dining choices. I just don't plan with money in mind that much, but we also don't overspend. I don't think we cut too many corners. I don't know. For some reason, this trip, maybe because everything is so expensive in general, and Disney specifically has gotten more expensive, I've been trying to find ways to reduce our overall spending that doesn't take us too far off of our preferred experience.
And that's just it. You can do Disney on a really tight budget if you want to, or if you need to. For our family, we'd rather go less frequently and feel like we can splurge a little than go every single year and have a lot of sacrifices in order to make that happen.
So, you and I treat Disney very similarly. We don't have a very tight budget, although we don't splurge too much because we also would rather go less frequently and have slightly more comfortable trips. We love staying on site. We're not giving in any of those things. So I have a few different ways that I was looking at how we could potentially save a little bit of money just because I don't want to spend it all of the time. So the first thing, the big ticket items are hotel and park tickets. We already scored a great deal by leveraging our Department of Defense civilian benefits. We're getting that deluxe stay at Shades of Green, and it ends up running about what Pop Century does per night. But we have the deluxe benefits, and I can walk over to the Polynesian to watch the electrical water pageant, which is top of my list. And we're also going to get our park tickets through Shades of Green or on base, which are, I think, similarly priced, slightly different routes. I don't fully understand it yet because it's our first time doing that. But from what I've been able to tell, we'll be able to get Park Hopper and Genie Plus added while still coming in about $500 less than if we did that through Disney with the same features. I feel like we did pretty good here, but none of this was budgeting on purpose. It was just luck of the draw for this trip.
Yeah, in terms of hotels, staying off property is a great way to save a lot of money on a Disney vacation. Sometimes you can get a much bigger space, even with a private pool attached. But as we've talked about many times before, our family prefers to stay in the Disney bubble and just be carted around via Disney transportation instead of having to go off site and rent a car and all of those things. So we also have a great deal on our hotel because we're renting DVC points through a family member. And we're paying a fair bit less than we would if we were renting through one of those third-party vendors. But even that's still a great way to get a better price on a deluxe resort if that's something that's important or interesting to you. So in terms of our park tickets, I really wish, Melissa, that you could formally adopt us so that we could also save on those. But since I assume that's not an option, I'm probably going to purchase our park tickets through Undercover Tourist again. It wasn't a massive discount on our last trip, but it was kind of the best I could find. It was a little cheaper than buying directly through Disney. And I also compared Undercover Tourist to some like discount ticket provider that we had through employee benefits. I can't even remember what it was called, but they offered Disney tickets and Undercover Tourist was still cheaper. So I'll probably check around again just in case, but I think that's what I'll likely wind up doing.
And as we have the same employer, I too checked those benefits just to see what the discount would be, and it was not all that impressive.
Yeah.
So the next big ticket item, and one that's been weighing very heavily on my mind lately, is the flight. Going from Michigan to Florida, flying is number one choice. I can be there in 2.5 hours after sitting in my seat, provided we take off on time. I don't want the internet to know that I'm looking at flights because they're going to keep changing the price on me. So I haven't searched for what it would cost yet. All my information comes from talking to people who have told me it is very expensive. Even Detroit to Orlando, which are both major hubs for a couple airlines. And so you tend to get a lot of choices of flights. And then the price is lower just because it's so saturated. As a family, we love flying Delta. I will pay extra for Comfort Plus and a Biscoff cookie, but I will fly Spirit to save money. Those are also best bets for us because the flights are so frequent, but Delta is very expensive, so I will consider any carrier that's going to come in on my budget. And if I can't get close to it, driving is not off the table. I absolutely do not want to drive to Florida. No part of me wants to drive to Florida, but I went halfway recently and I realized we could do it and it would only require adding 1 day on either end of our trip. Because right now, day one is a travel, arrival, just get there day, and our last day is leaving. So we would only have to pad on either end, and hotel stay and gas would definitely be cheaper than flights.
I really hope we don't have to drive. I really don't want to wind up having to drive, but I feel like it's sort of in the background with all of these flight cancellations. And I know you're thinking about that too.
Mm-hmm.
So flights are one of my sort of budgeting fails this trip. I had really hoped to use this trip as sort of a first foray into traveling with points and miles, but I was so overwhelmed with information that I hadn't even gotten around to choosing a credit card yet. That would be like our best option to then get free flights with the sign up bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
So meanwhile, my mom was watching airfare and what that was looking like and getting increasingly nervous about flights selling out because she was seeing a lot of flights from Minneapolis to Orlando saying there are only a few seats left. And yeah, we were starting to worry we were going to have to drive. But just in the last few days, we were able to book tickets through Sun Country, which I have learned from talking to you is a very limited service budget airline. So they don't go everywhere. They don't go to Michigan, for example, but they do come to Minneapolis and Orlando. So we can get all 5 of us there and back with direct flights. No need to stop for about what I was expecting to spend on 2 tickets. So we went ahead and booked that. I'm not going to worry about points and miles this trip because it was far less than we expected to spend on airfare.
Yeah, that is a huge savings. And when you texted me, yes, my reaction was, what the Sun Country? I'm like, she's making this up. I'm like, this is not even a real airline. This is like, but it is a real airline as it turns out. And it had me looking at what some of the budget airlines are that do fly out of Michigan. So those are all on the list for me too. And if they have equally silly names, I will let you know. So when it comes to paying for hotel tickets and flight, I am going to use some cashback rewards. I have been saving them accidentally though. It was not on purpose for this trip. I have one credit card that has cashback, but the way they communicate it to me, it's an email that I delete. I don't even read. So I've just been racking up cashback points for I don't know how long. And almost all of my spending goes on this card because I know that there's benefits like cashback and also purchase protection. It's through my bank. So in my bank app, I can just hit pay and it comes out of my checking account. It's so smooth. And if you ignore benefits for a really long time like I did, they do add up. It's not going to fully cover hotel tickets or flight, but it will make a huge dent in one of them. And I will be able to treat that as savings. Maybe we'll do a pricier dinner or just save the money. I don't know yet. But I am going to completely continue ignoring my cashback rewards until our next trip.
Yeah, I think we have some cash back that we could use towards our trip too. And also things like I see a lot of recommendations for those receipt scanning apps like Ibotta and Fetch, and like using those on purchases that you're already making and then putting the cash back that you get from them towards your trip. So that's something I may do. I've kind of fallen off of that during the pandemic when we were doing a lot of our shopping via pickup and we weren't getting printout receipts that I could use. And I was too scared to link it to my actual bank account. So anyway, I might get back into that and put some of that towards it. But now that I've blown it on using points and miles for this trip's flights, I can think ahead to the next one. And we're hoping that our next big trip after this upcoming Disney World trip will be to visit a friend in Hawaii with, spoiler alert, a stop at Aulani. I don't know if we will actually be able to stay there, but I will step foot on that property and at least like walk around, have a meal there, sort of thing. So if I can get a credit card figured out now, I can use it to pay for our park tickets and also for our spending in Disney World on things like food and souvenirs. And what I've heard is that if you use your Magic Band to charge those purchases to your room and then you pay it off at the front desk, like at the end of your trip or whenever you'd like to, it's coded as travel instead of as like, retailers or whatever. And that can be beneficial in terms of like, which bucket it falls into on your credit card and how many points you get for that and all those sorts of things. So we could then ideally use whatever points we get there towards our next vacation.
Which is something I think I have accidentally been doing with my card along the way. So you can also sometimes pull it off even if you can't figure out the best way to leverage your. So another area that a lot of people try to budget is food. I thought about this, but I think we have our food budget and preferences perfectly aligned. We split a lot of quick service meals. We leverage larger snack items between the four of us, like a cinnamon roll from Gaston's Tavern. And we have groceries in the room to help supplement. And this allows us to do table service once a day, which is about what we like. Any more than that, it feels like we're just spending too much time at a table service restaurant. And some days we don't even book one because we just want the freedom to go and do what we want. I never feel like we have missed out on any Disney food experience. So I have no specific budgeting plans related to food other than doing what we have done.
I think that's great for you guys and same for us. So I see some advice on, again, like budget Disney blog posts or whatever to pack in all of your food to save money. But Disney food is a lot of the fun for my husband and me in particular. So that would be missing out on a huge part of our vacation just for what we're interested in. So having some groceries on hand for breakfast and snacks and doing a few table service meals instead of doing a ton of table service meals, that's a good balance for us. And we're going to keep that up.
Right before the first trip that I booked for my family, I looked at a lot of like money saving tips and the food one kept coming up. And I don't want to prepare meals when I'm on vacation because that's what I do when I'm at home. So for me, the expense is well worth it.
I agree.
This last week, I started thinking about Magic Bands because I'm still angry that you no longer get them for being an on-site guest. Even $20 for the basics, that's an extra $80 for us. And I know that $80 on a Disney trip is pretty much nothing, but I mean, it still upsets me. It's $80. Like, $80 could get me quite a bit of food. I'd rather spend it on that. And I know that I have a box full of Magic Bands at the very top of my closet. And I have heard that after a few years, they stop working long distance, for ride pictures. So I've never reused a Magic Band for fear that I wouldn't get a ride picture. So I've been very nervous about that. But I went through and I read experiences from people, and I couldn't find a single person who said, "Oh, my 3-year-old Magic Band didn't work." So my plan was to order skins for my kids and probably myself from Etsy for a couple dollars just to make our old ones look cool and save that money. And then I would also be sticking to my value of these should be free for on-site guests. Give us something like you used to. But then I remembered Magic Band Plus. So I guess I am buying 4 Magic Bands again.
Yeah, we're buying the new Magic Bands too. But so this is the only thing that makes me feel okay about it is these ones are supposed to be rechargeable, I believe. So I would hope that means that we can use them for multiple trips without that concern about the long distance ride photos and things like that. So I'm trying to comfort myself by saying like, let's pick ones that we know we're going to like for a long time and hopefully use them on multiple trips. That's the best I got.
That's what I'm going to tell myself too, because I know we're buying it. They're interactive. We're getting them. We're reading them. So I'll try to comfort myself with that. These are the ones we will reuse and not like the 15 or 20 or whatever that I have in my closet. So something else I've seen a lot of people talk about, and Disney moms swear by this, is to get Disney gift cards at Target using your red card to save 5%. So the basic math is you purchase a $100 Disney gift card, and if you use your Target red card, you save 5%. So you're only paying $95 for that $100. Some people do this over and over and over again and then use the gift cards to actually pay off their trip, like their hotel and their tickets. That I don't know. I really don't like doing extra steps for anything. So I'm not sure if like the $5 savings on 100 will be worth it for me, but I might do this for spending money. My kids usually have Disney gift cards anyway that they use for their spending money. It allows them to keep it separate from each other, which is very important when you have more than one child. But it feels like such a small savings, and my kids don't really spend that much at Disney to begin with. I don't know. I'm a maybe on the gift cards. What about you?
Yeah, we've done this in the past, not with Target Red Card, but through like Costco or something like that. I think they had a deal going, and so we got some at a similar percentage off of regular price. And so we did that for our spending money last time. And I mean, it's fine. I think it pays off more if you are doing it for your hotel room and your park tickets and all of those things. But since we aren't buying those direct from Disney, it would really just be our dining and our spending money that we would be able to use this for. And one thing that I did run into last time was that we had bought gift cards at a discount. And then I went to book a special experience that we had to pay in advance. And so I went to like book this in my Disney experience, and I wasn't able to pay for it using my gift card online. So I had to call, and they had to like transfer me to a few people because apparently nobody does this, and everybody just puts in their credit card. But it was, it was a substantial amount of money. And I'm like, I want 5% off of this. So that was a little bit more of a hassle. It's obviously much easier if you're just swiping a gift card in the parks. That works well. So I'm not sure if we're going to do this again, or if it's going to make more sense to try and maximize credit card points. That could be a better move for us, just depending on what sort of benefits we're working with. So I think it's worth it to take a look at that for yourself and run some numbers.
Yeah. Or not. I might just skip it.
Or not.
Okay, so I don't like things to be too many extra steps. So like I know what my time is worth. And so I have to determine if my time is worth doing all that calculating. But you're right about the credit card points. If I'm getting like a 5% cash back, which I'm pretty sure I'm not, that seems very substantial, that would be a wash. Or if the moment where travel is worth more, like you said, have it all billed to the room, pay it off, and get the extra cash back on that instead of saving 5% off the top. So I'll have to think about it. So I'm not saving that much money here, but if you have tips, I will take them in the comments below. And remember to like and subscribe to plan along with us.